Hey, this is Math students. Welcome to homework 3.6, fractional unit rates. Watch the video, you can put check, calculator's okay, and it's due tomorrow. So it says, a recipe for banana bread requires 3 cups of bananas for every 1.5 cups of sugar used. At this rate, how many cups of sugar should you be used if 2 cups of bananas are used? So again, this is a key thing, is writing down what you're comparing. You're comparing bananas and sugar, right? So for 3 cups of bananas, I've got 3. And then I have 1.5 cups of sugar. Now, if I were you, you could write that as 3 over 2, or I could just write that as 1.5, right? So 1.5 cups of sugar. So 1.5 we know is 1.5. Is equal to, at this rate, how many cups of sugar should be used if 2 cups of bananas are used, right? 2 cups of bananas. I got bananas on top, so 2 goes on top, and we got x on bottom, right? So for those of you, you're like 3 over 1.5, that's equal to 2 over, I don't know. Let's go ahead and cross multiply. So 3 times x is 3x equal to 2 times 1.5 is equal to, it's equal to 3, right? Double check it on your calculator if you don't believe me. Now I'll just go ahead and say, all right, 3 times what number is equal to 3? Just divide by 3 to prove it, right? 3 divided by 3, it cancels off. So I'm just left with x is equal to, what's 3 divided by 3? 1. It's 1 cup of sugar, right? So 1 cup is your answer. X equals 1 cup. Circle it, right? Then we got a problem like number 2. It says Emma pays $108 every 6 weeks for tennis lessons. What is the price per year for tennis lessons? Oh boy, per year. And yet we're talking about weeks. Let's go ahead and figure that out. So it says $108 every 6 weeks. First of all, how many weeks are in a year? There are 52. So really, this fraction is saying 6 weeks out of 52, right? 6 weeks out of the 52 total possible in a year, right? So our fractional rate is really saying, okay, we're comparing money over weeks. And so if we have $108 for 1/6, excuse me, not 1/6, but 6 weeks, how much money would it cost to pay for 52 weeks, right? Because 1 year is 52 weeks. 6 weeks is that 6. So right there, we're finding out how much money that costs, right? So 108 times 52, again, you can use your calculator, and that gives you 5,616 is equal to, and then 6 times x, that's 6x. All right, so 6 times some number equals 5,616. I don't know that off the top of my head, so let me just divide by 6. 6 divided by 6, that cancels out. That's why I'm left with my x is equal to 5,016 divided by 6 is $936. So she pays $936 a year to get to her tennis lessons. Again, the key thing is understanding, hey, I've got 6, so that's the 108 over 6. But that per year, that was a little bit hitting. Let's be honest there. We had to know that this was 52 weeks in a year. All right, so some background knowledge for that is absolutely necessary. Let's take a look at number 3. It says, if 3/4 of a gallon of paint covers 1/3 of a wall, then how much paint is needed for an entire wall? And it says an entire wall. It doesn't give us much of a ratio here, but we've got gallons and a wall, right? If 3/4 of a gallon, you could say that's 0.75, or we could just put that as a fraction, over 1/3 of a wall is equal to, I don't know how many gallons are needed, x over an entire wall. Well, that'd be just 1 or 3/3 or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to put 3/3, right? The entire wall. So the entire wall is at 3/3, right? You can just simply say that's 1. So basically, you are now then deciding to multiply 3/4 times 3/3, right? And that should be very straightforward because really that's just 3/4 times 1, so that's just 3/4, is equal to 1/3 times x, which is just going to be 1/3 x. Okay, so now how do I go about solving this problem? Well, just like I've always done, divide by 1/3, divide by 1/3. So then x, because these cancel out, is going to be equal to, what's 3/4 divided by 1/3? Again, you've got a calculator, or you could do it long division if you wanted to, but 3/4 divided by 1/3, your calculator is going to tell you is 9/4. I'm going to say that's not acceptable. You have to change that to a mixed number, and that's going to be 2 1/4 gallons, right? It's a little tricky, but if you think about it, it all makes beautiful, beautiful sense, right? You've got gallons per wall, an entire wall. That's 3/3 of a wall, right? One whole wall. And then you're just multiplying, cross-multiplying like we've been, and then dividing. 3/4 divided by 1/3 is really, flip that, it's 3/4 times 3/1, which is 9/4, which is, as we know, 2 1/4, right? Okay, last one that I'm going to do, and then you got the last two on your own. It says, Jeremy can row 1/3 of a mile in 1/4 of an hour. What is his unit rate? Okay, this key thing about unit rate is important. So we've got 1/3 of a mile. We are dividing miles and hours, right? So basically we're saying 1/3 of a mile over 1/4 of an hour is equal to, remember, unit rate means per one of something, right? So it's per 1 hour in this case, right? So it's x over 1, right? And we do our cross multiplying. So what's 1/3 times 1? Well, that's just 1/3 equals, what's 1/4 times x? Well, that's 1/4 x. How do I figure out 1/4 times what number gives me 1/3? I divide by 1/4. Right? 1/4 and 1/4 cancel off. X is equal to, what's 1/3 divided by 1/4? Again, you've got a calculator so that you can go ahead and figure this out. And it gets you 1 1/3 miles per hour, right? So there's your answer. If you don't believe me, again, I'll do it off to the side. 1/3 divided by 1/4. And you flip the second fraction. So it's 1/3 times 4/1. Multiply straight across. I mean, you can say, oh, those cross cancel. There's still going to be 1. You get 4/3, which we know is 1 1/3, right? So don't believe me, you can always set that up. So 5 and 6, I want you to go ahead and do 5 and 6. Remember, the unit price is per one of something. Per one. So you're going to have your second ratio be like x over 1, right? Per hour, again, it's going to be per 1. So your second ratio is going to be, again, x over 1. Okay, so you go ahead and figure that out. All right, on the back side, real quickly, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about unit rate. Unit rate is just the quantity, how much you have of something over its price. And then basically we're just going to go ahead and find out what the better buy is. So 1 over 0.19. So what is 1 divided by 0.19? Turns out to be 5. We'll call it 26. And then what about 3 over wrong space. 3 apples per 59 cents. So 3 divided by 0.59, that is 5.08. So then for the best buy, you just want to pick the cheaper one. So what's cheaper? Is it cheaper to do 526 or 508? And unfortunately, guys, I've messed this up. So we're going to go ahead and erase this. My fault. It is the opposite. It's not price over quantity. It's not quantity over price. It's price. So your dollar amount over your quantity, how much you buy. So I'm sorry. 19 cents per 1 apple for 59 cents per 3 apples. Well, this is just going to cost you 19 cents, obviously. And then 59 divided by 3 is going to cost you 19.666 repeated cents, right? So which one's cheaper? A is cheaper. I'll do one more for you since I messed up. Again, it's the price, so $14.99 for 20 pounds of pet food versus $37.99 for 50 pounds of pet food. So which one is the better buy here? $14.99 divided by 20. That is going to be about 0.749, so almost 75 cents per pound versus 37.99 divided by 50. That is 0.759, so almost 76 cents. So this one's about 0.75 cents, and this one's about 0.76 cents. So which one's the better buy? A is the better buy. Okay, you've got those last two on your own. A lot of work going on here, but it's good that we get this down and ready for a test that will inevitably come up. All right, so if you have any questions, give me a call.